What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm your boy DS, and I'm here with my guy, as per usual, Dino Bam Bam.
DS, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, my man. I'm feeling great. It is, as you know, a very special edition of the 10-7 MMA because we've got a very badass woman who's going to be doing an interview. She was nice enough to do an interview with us. She got one of the coolest names in all of MMA. She's a fighter, a wrestler, an all-around badass, a businesswoman, and even a new mom. Welcome, Miranda Maverick.
Thank you. So excited to be here and talk about some cool stuff.
There we
Appreciate
go.
you. Thank you so much for doing it. Before we get into the fight stuff, we just wanted to go through a couple different things first and foremost. Well, first of all, how are you today?
Good, busy as usual on my end, and now even busier with the little one. But had hard training, as you guys can tell. Didn't even bother covering it up today. Hard training, got done with that, and about to have somewhat of a relaxing afternoon getting some stuff done.
I thought that was from Rennie herself, actually.
Man, soon enough, I'm sure.
Yeah. I got a new nickname for you, Miranda. I don't know if you like it, you feel free to keep it. If you don't, I was going with Mama Maverick. I think that's pretty good.
Okay, all right, I can deal with it.
Just saying, maybe you tell Bruce, throw that in there.
There we go. There we go. I like it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, we wanted to first and foremost, kind of before we get into all the fight stuff, just touch on, what life has been like as a new mom. For those that don't know, you and your husband just recently adopted a baby girl, correct?
Yep, that's correct. She's actually 2 weeks old today. Her name's Renegade Ramira, so pretty name, especially with the Maverick part. A little wild, just like us. She
Renegade Maverick, she's basically bound to be a badass.
Yes, exactly. She got to do something great in life, right? It's been quite the journey, not the most fun journey. If anybody follows me on Instagram, they'll see my little my rage rant that I had today about adoption and the difficulties and corruption within it, but is what it is. We were blessed to be able to have Renegade as our daughter now, and I think she's blessed to have us as parents from the other road that she might have taken in life. So we're just so excited. God blessed us and really brought her into our lives. Every single thing kind of showed that as being the way it was, just how we found out about her, how it ended up working out, her health when she was born. It wasn't even supposed to be as good as it was, and everything was just a blessing the whole way through. And we can't believe it. We're just so happy every single day, cherishing every moment. It's one of those things where everybody was like, oh, having a newborn's so hard. This is so hard. I mean, I don't think it really is for us, just because we already lived such a full and hard life. Like I stay busy, as you guys know, with my fighting. I had a job, I have my business. I'm always busy 24/7. And so having the kiddo, it just made the job go away and focus on her instead. And it makes up for those hours.
Wonderful. Wonderful. When you're not training, so obviously you train out of Colorado, are you spending most of your time in Missouri?
We will be now, that's for sure. Usually I spend a lot of time in Colorado just because I take short notice fights. As soon as I get done fighting, I go back into training. I'm always ready, I always stay in shape. Whereas now I'm probably not going to take as many short notices. One, because I'm high enough ranked, I won't need to. Two, because we have Renegade and we want to be able to spend a lot of time with my family in Missouri. That's where we'll be moving to eventually once I get done fighting or take a break. So we figure we might as well spend some time there and have her get used to all the farm life.
Yeah, absolutely. And is that your preferred lifestyle still at this point?
100%. I am not a city girl. I'm a country girl at heart, and I may look like it every once in a while, but I love the country lifestyle, being secluded, having security, having my support system around. My family's very close with each other. My little brother lives in my house on the ranch. My dad lives right there, like half a mile away on the same parcel of property. It's basically one of those little community farm lives, with just close family in there. And my little brother is going to be having a little girl in the next couple months, so Renegade and her will get to grow up together. It's just going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
absolutely.
All right.
Wonderful. Well, from a fighting perspective, so now, obviously you've adopted this little girl, and everything that comes with being a new mom, right? Now this is going to be your first fight since, right? Officially. I know
Yes.
before the Jamie Lynn Horth fight, you were still kind of working on things, correct?
For sure. Yeah, there was no news about Renegade or anything. We've been trying to adopt now for about a year, but no news about her until 3 weeks before she was born. So it was one of those very short notice adoptions, and only 3 days before she was born was it kind of like a confirmed, like, yeah, we want to
Well,
do adoption.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously you have a big fight about what,
Mhm.
6 weeks away at this point,
Yep.
Rose Namajunas, and we'll get into that. But now, this being your first training camp, and kind of leading up to your training camp and diving into it, being a new mom, is there a difference in mindset? Has having a daughter affected your mindset or the way that you approach fighting in any way?
I think the motivation, I've got just that much more motivation. Even before I knew I was supporting my family and my future family with my career, now it's not even future family, it's here, it's happening. It was me and Pete before and potentially future children. And now that future child has arrived and everything kind of goes into making her have a better life, making us have a better life, and helping my family back home in Missouri too. So, yeah, more motivation going into this. I think I'll have the mental edge on Rose regardless. But now there's just one more block to put on top of that.
I
Heck yeah.
love it.
Heck yeah. Real quick, Miranda. So I know you're like a very optimistic person and you're always looking towards the future. Before we get into the fight with Rose, really quickly, what's been your favorite moment so far of the UFC? Was it getting the call back during COVID, or what's been your favorite
Huh.
moment so far?
Yeah, that's hard. Probably not necessarily the call during COVID, but getting that first win during
Yeah.
COVID. I remember like being in the corner. I had no idea the fight was going to be stopped or whatever else. And then as soon as the doctor was waving it off, my coach is like, I stood up and I was like, it's done. And he's like, we're not done. What are you talking? And I'm like, no, look, like the fight's done.
Yeah.
And I was so excited and so hyped up. I stayed up all night from the adrenaline rush and everything. I was so excited. So that was a huge moment in my career. I think that's probably the best time, in the UFC. And I have so many times before that were kind of like channeling to where I am now. And then when I moved out to Denver, that was a huge one as well, because for me, that was a huge stepping stone in training partners and coaches and all of it. I just knew that it was going to be a bright future.
Yeah, Denver is awesome. We were just kind of talking about that before you hopped in. I don't know what's going on. I feel like Florida, Vegas, and now Denver's got to be like the third biggest, let's call it like a training city in
Yeah.
America at this point. Shout out Cody Brundage, by the way, friend of the channel. He's out
Okay.
there. Yeah, but just had to shout him out.
No, I
So
love it. I
I'm
love when you do.
optimistic. I'm optimistic, Miranda, that there's going to be bigger moments coming for you. And obviously, you have the biggest fight of your career so far coming up, right? A former
Mhm.
champion and Thug Rose Namajunas, a lady that you have trained with for about a year and a half, 2 years at this point. I believe you guys are friends. I don't know. I'm not going to put any
Yeah.
labels on it. But yeah, how do you like go into that fight? She's a champion. She's somebody you call a friend. Like, how do you turn it on? How do you approach a fight with somebody like that?
Man, it's a sport, it's an entertainment industry. It's something that we grow up doing. We've been training. It's not like one person's beating up a soccer mom and the other one's an athlete. There's no like feeling bad in this, right? It's pure competition, and we'll be friends before and we'll be friends after. And it is one of those things where it's not awkward like people would think it is. It would be awkward if I had to fight my own sister. That's the only thing where I would probably draw a line, and even then she'd be all about it. I'd be the one having trouble. Sorry if you can hear her in the background, but
No, please. All good. The more the merrier.
Alright. But Rose, it started out as like an inspiring thing. I've been watching Rose fight since I was starting fighting, which is kind of crazy to say. But she was just starting out when she was at the height of her career when I was kind of starting out climbing the ladder. And to go from her being a huge inspiration to them being a training partner and friend, and then to get the call to be a rival to her, it was just kind of a full circle moment. When Tracy Cortez ended up fighting her in Denver, it took a while for them to negotiate that. And we thought that maybe Tracy wasn't going to take the fight. And we were actually talking, the coaches were talking amongst each other. And Pat had asked me, would you fight Rose on this 5 day notice if Tracy doesn't take it? And I was like, I mean, if you guys are good with that, heck yeah. And I called my coaches and we were all like, yep, we're down. Like, if this doesn't work out, then we'll do it. And we had literally trained the day before that. We had sparred together and everything. And it's like, it's one of those things where we're just down to fight. We're ready to go and put everything on the line, show our talent, show our ability in the cage, period. That's all there is to it. And when I got this fight call, I was the first one to know about it, I think. And then when I called them, they were like, hey, we already said yes. Don't even worry about it. Let's go. And I was like, all right, solid.
Yeah.
So we separated our training camps, made sure we weren't going to be sparring or wrestling in the same spot. and went from there. It's been a hard camp already. You know, I was out in Missouri for a couple weeks, so I trained at the gym that I started at out there, and then I went up to Kansas City and trained at Trey Ogden's gym, Marathon MMA, for a few days. And they have a lot of smaller guys there, 125ers, 135ers. So that was awesome work for me. And now I'm back out in Colorado for the rest of the camp, pushing hard. It's not going to be a fun camp. It's not going to be an easy camp, but it'll make that fight easy.
Period.
Oh yeah. So when you are fighting somebody that knows you so well as a fighter, right? So now in your camp, are you specifically like trying to avoid certain things that you kind of fall into automatically as a fighter, right? Are there certain things that you know that Rose knows where you're going to be avoiding, or are you just gonna fight your fight?
I wouldn't say avoiding. It's just focusing on areas where we know I need to improve on anyway, and focusing on those areas that we know she capitalizes on. Like maybe not
Yeah.
throw this certain kick or this certain punch because, hey, she reacts to this one really well. Or maybe switch stances here, don't switch stances here. Just a lot of things that we're looking at. I won't go into the details, but we've trained so much together. We sparred together every week for like a year and a half for so many camps. And it's like, I know her style, she knows my style. And we also know what each of us do to defend those styles and how we react to things. You know, I know when she switches stances and why she does and why she throws certain things. And the good thing is all my coaches know that too, and so do hers. So it's going to be a heck of a fight. We're going to have to really game plan. Fight IQ, I think, is what it's going to come down to, and grit, pure grit during this fight.
Mhm.
I don't see this as being some kind of, oh, we go in and it gets finished first round. No, it's going to be a hard grind for 3 rounds, maybe a bloody war. We'll see what ends up happening. But I think we're both ready for it, happy to go in there and just put it all on the line. I'm thinking ahead of it all, I've got kind of the mental advantage to it. And I've got the size advantage to it. She's got speed. I've got strength and grappling. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously I don't know you as a person. I'm glad to have met you here, but I've seen all of your fights and I've read up on you a little bit. I mean, you are also the type of person who, at 16 years old, went down and joined a boys wrestling team, right? So it doesn't seem you're easily scared. That's for sure. So I mean,
No, I wouldn't really say scared's anything I usually am, you know? It's like there's hard roads, but at the end of the day, somebody 125 pounds punching me in the face isn't all that scary.
fair,
Yeah,
fair, respect.
that's right. All right, Miranda, couple quick, fun parts. Let's call them fun parts of this interview. There's been a thing that's been going on, a little trend on the internet. Everybody's been talking about it. 100 men versus a gorilla. Have you seen this?
I think I've seen the simulation thing on Instagram, yeah.
Okay, so your thoughts? Do you think 100 grown men with no weapons, just going in there bare fists, versus a fully grown silverback? Who you got?
Listen, now here I know I'm getting all technical. If those men had a game plan and strategized beforehand, I'm giving it to the men. If these are just 100 random men thrown in there that have never talked to each other or seen each other in their lives, they're losing.
Okay, how about 100 Miranda Mavericks?
Oh, we're winning. I already got the brain up here, okay? We're gonna get this. I fought my dad when I was like 10 years old with my 2 siblings and we made it work, okay?
Heck yeah, heck yeah! I like the confidence.
Respect,
You
honestly.
go after one limb. Quit trying to just like rush them. Go after one limb, give them to the ground, and just like go from there.
Listen, I've seen those gorillas though. They be moving, right?
They've been oh yeah, you're right. But if they're
They're
attacking, at least they're
explosive.
coming at you. You just all got to get in a ball together. You're gonna die. Like some of you are gonna
Fair,
die. I didn't say that part, okay?
fair.
But somebody to win. Somebody get on the back and choke them while the other one's holding the arms, okay?
Wow, RNC is crazy.
If you
RNC.
had to get a gorilla in a submission, what submission
Yeah.
do you think would?
Rear naked choke, 100%. That's
Yeah,
what I said.
for
You take the
sure.
back, you choke them. Everything dies from a choke, okay? Gorillas are still gonna come after you
Yeah.
with broken everything. You gotta put them to sleep.
Honestly, that's completely logical to me. So, so we mentioned obviously that you're a businesswoman, you're a fighter, you're all these things. I mean, you clearly have a lot more energy than a vast majority of people here. One of your ventures is a pickle company, Prowler Pickles.
Yep.
How did that come about?
So yeah, I have the pickle business, honey, and now I've been doing like pickled jalapenos, asparagus, apple butter, all this stuff. I've advanced and I'm at my limit. We're not gonna make any more stuff for a while, but that's the inventory. So how it started is I grew up on a ranch, right? We made our own food, we grew our own food, we butchered our own food, all that. We basically homesteaded on a small scale. And so I grew up knowing how to can, knowing how to do all this different stuff. And I feel like that's very lacking in my generation. Nobody knows
Oh,
how to do crap
100%.
nothing other than go to a fast food restaurant or a meal prep. Maybe they meal prep, right? Like that's the height of it. And so pickling is something that I took over when I moved out of the house. My family kind of like, I guess we all share the stuff, you would say. Like my brother does this part of it, I do this part. And I was like, okay, I can do canning. I'm gonna make some sweet pickles and bring them home for everybody for Christmas. And this was back December of 2023. And what ended up happening was I made an Instagram story about it. And I was like, homesteading, I'm pickling for my family, getting ready to take it home, and showed some of the pickles. And I had probably 8 or so messages that were like, oh my goodness, do you have some more? I'll buy a jar from you. I'll buy a jar from you. And I was like, I don't know if it's worth it, And so I'm a business minded person. And
Sure.
I sat down and I ran the numbers on jar costs. I ran the number on all the ingredients costs. And I ran the numbers on how much I would have to sell to start actually making profit and make this worth it. And then I started looking into like farmers markets and things like that. And I'm like, okay, this might be something viable to where I could make this work as a business. And it's not like there's a lot of overhead to where if it fails, oh no, I'm in the hole. No, we just quit making pickles. We got 100 pickle jars laying around that need to be gone, and those last hundreds of years. And so I made another story and I was like, if I made a pickle business,
Yeah.
who would buy pickles from me? I would start with sweet pickles and dill pickles. It was something simple at the beginning. Man, I got amazing feedback. Probably like 25 or so that were like, I'll instantly buy a jar from you. I'll buy a jar from you. And that was within the first hour or two. And I told my husband, I was like, we're going to be making pickles. And so we started, and it was at Christmas. It was the 23rd, I think, of December. It was like right before Christmas when I was like, I'm going to do this. And so by like January 10th, I had like 100 orders or so put in.
Damn. All right.
And we were busy. Like I didn't know how to like do it mass scale production yet, and was just doing it in my kitchen, the regular ball jars that you get at the store, that kind
Yeah.
of thing, which are kind of a mess to deal with. And so slowly I just developed more and more. I was getting pretty successful. And then when I had the Andrea Lee fight, Joe Rogan and I think it was Bisbing were just talking it up. And I ended up selling so much that we spent 3 weeks trying to get orders done and out. And now I have it more automated, commercial kitchen, everything done, a couple stores that have my products in them, and just growing from there. Added the honey in 2024. I've been raising bees since I was 12 and just decided to work with local beekeepers and start selling honey in both Colorado and Missouri. So if anybody wants to get them, prowlerpickles.com/honey shop. There's 2 different shops on there, pickles and honey, and you can use spring25 as the discount code, and you'll get a big discount.
We'll put that in the description, and
Perfect.
we'll link everything too, of course.
Thank you. Thank you.
No
But
problem.
then
Do you
I
have a
also have
favorite
my
flavor?
merch business, I got fearthemaverick.com with all my Maverick merch too. So try to do it all, try to have
Send us the
everything for
links.
everybody.
We'll plug it all. We're
He's
happy
been
to
looking
do-
for a new rash guard, right, DS? Didn't you
Hey,
say
I've
that?
got like 10 different designs.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So we're gonna definitely link that, Miranda. By the way, Joe Rogan, like who is like a better promoter than Joe Rogan?
Right?
This guy
Right?
basically
say.
won an election. He he got your business up and running. So shout out Joe Rogan. Real quick,
Exactly.
Miranda, I want to know, we're a little bit, we're party guys over here, okay? Some call us degenerates. I like pickleback shots. Do you know what those are?
I sure do. I have
Okay.
two breweries out in Virginia that have my pickle juice.
Okay, there we go. So I was
There
going
you
to
go.
ask, do
That
they go
answers
well as a pickleback shot? They
They
do.
sure do. And I also have Bloody Mary mixes that I make and sell on my site.
Okay,
So
there we go.
yeah.
Yes.
Do you have
We're
a
gonna order
favorite
couple.
flavor from all your pickles, by the way?
What?
Do you have a favorite flavor for the
I
pickles?
actually like sweet pickles a lot, so I like the sweet and sugary and the bread and butter. But my most popular are the sweet fire and the spicy dill.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at the spicy garlic dill. That one
All
sounds really
right.
good.
They're pretty popular too. I think everybody loves the spicy ones, and maybe it's just because not as many brands make them.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think so. But yeah, the Joe Rogan effect's crazy, man. Like he'll literally just like mention something and
Yep.
things just blow up. It's nuts.
I wish he'd do it every fight, and be nice for business.
Yep. Well, listen, if once you win this fight, right, all you got to do is
Mhm.
hop on there, and I'm sure Joe will remember, and then he'll hop right back on it and break it down for people.
I hope so. I hope so.
So real quick, Miranda, final question. We do like to ask this to everybody. I'm glad you mentioned the breweries. with the pickle juice there.
Mhm.
We always like to ask our guests on this show, what do you drink? So ideally, right? Miranda Maverick goes out there on June 14th, I believe is the date. She gets
Yep.
herself a 50,000 bonus, beats Thug Rose Namajunas. You're right there in the title picture. How are you celebrating that night? What are you drinking?
Chocolate milk. Who are you kidding?
Okay.
I'm not much of a drinker at all, especially alcohol. I am literally, so if you talk to the UFC nutrition team or anyone who knows me, I am a chocolate milk fiend. I love milk. I grew up on cow's milk and all that. And so for my post weigh-ins, they always buy me a half gallon of chocolate milk from
That's
the
adorable.
Performance Institute. And they're like, here, because people don't know it, but that is so good for rehydration. It's got the electrolytes in it, it's got the sugars in it, it's got the fats in it. And I just like, yeah, I love chocolate milk and lemonade if it's a really hot day outside. I'm a Southern girl, you know. You gotta have the lemonade.
There we go.
Love it.
Gotta
Love it.
love the
Honestly, I didn't think you drank for whatever reason. I don't know why that is, but
You know, I'll have a drink once in a while, but if I do, it's like the girliest thing you've ever seen. Like I'm like, if I can taste the alcohol, I don't like it, so there's no no point.
that's how Bam Bam drinks too, so it's totally fine.
What
Listen,
is
I don't make fun of it. Everybody wants to make fun of it. They just don't want to admit it's the best drinks.
that? It tastes delicious, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Thank you, Miranda. What is apple butter? Can you like what is that?
Yeah. So just think of jam. You know how there's strawberry preserves, blackberry preserves? This is just like an apple jam kind of. So
Ooh,
a
delicious.
lot of people will like cheat and make it like very unhealthy and like bad, and they'll get applesauce and like thicken it with sugar and stuff and make it into jam. I just take the apples, puree them, put cinnamon and cardamom and vanilla and all kinds of stuff in there, and boom, you have like the best apple jelly jam stuff you could ever have. If you've ever gone to Cracker Barrel, it's kind of their little specialty, and it's a very like southern and old school thing.
Right on. We're about to use the heck out of that promo code, by the way.
All right,
Yeah.
awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hey, if you
Dino,
guys
anything
wanted
else?
one for yourselves, I could make you a code to advertise on all your shows.
All right. Hey.
Yeah, we're happy to.
All
Why not?
right.
We're gonna plug it on Instagram. We'll plug it on the YouTube.
Thank you. Thank
For
you.
sure. Absolutely.
You know,
Yes.
anything else for Miranda before we don't want to take up too much of your time? I'm sure you've got a black eye. I'm sure you're tired. You're always running around, so we don't want to keep you for too long here.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Rennie was crying a little earlier. I got nothing for you, Miranda. All I got is God bless, good luck,
Thank you.
congratulations on the baby, huge fight. I am a Thug Rose fan, but I'm rooting for you sincerely,
Thanks.
and I hope to see you continue moving forward. And we're gonna shout you out on our channel.
I've always been a
Great.
Miranda Maverick fan myself.
Thank you,
so
thank you, thank you. I do have the cooler name, okay? I've got
You
the
do.
coolest name, so there's
Not
that. I
even
actually have
close.
a funny story I'll tell with that real quick.
Yeah.
Michael Chesa, of course, his nickname's Maverick, right?
Maverick,
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting in there. It's one of my first ever like commentary meetings. So I'm in there with DC and John Anik and Joe Rogan and them. And Chesa was in there too. And they were like, "So how's your nickname Maverick come about? You know, like I already have that nickname. You're not
Oh, he
allowed to
asked
take
you?
it." And I was here first, and I was like, "It's not my nickname. It's my name." And he was like, "No, BS. You know, it is not." And DC was the one who was like, "No, it is. It is." And I like pull out my ID, and I was like, "There you go. I've had this nickname since birth."
I mean, it is a very badass name. I mean,
It is. It's
that was
awesome.
literally when I first saw your name, when I first heard of you years ago, I was like, that can't be a real name. And then turns out it was. But very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. I love it. DS, what do you got?
I've got nothing, man. I'm excited for the fight. I wish it was, I wish we didn't have to wait like 6 weeks. But Miranda, I'm sure you've got plenty of things to do in the meantime and take care of.
For
But
sure.
thanks for
For
hopping
sure.
on with us. That's really all we got. Best
All
of luck
right.
to you, and I hope you win.
Thank you. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to go follow me, just go to @FearTheMaverick on everything. That's me.
There we go. We're gonna tag all your stuff, Miranda. Guys, like, subscribe. I know you said you're starting a YouTube soon, right? I saw
You
that.
know, we said that, and then the adoption thing came about. I don't know that we got time for that right now, but I have
Yeah.
started the TikTok, pretty active on it. X, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So keep
There
an
we
eye
go.
out. Maybe eventually YouTube will happen, but right now we got to dial in.
There we go.
For sure.
All right, guys, @Fear the Maverick on everything. Go give her a follow while you're here. Hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, do all that stuff. Follow us on Instagram @the107MMA. So again, I'm Dino Bam Bam. That's DS, and that is the one, the only Mama Maverick, Miranda Maverick. Guys, take care. Thank you for watching.
Thanks. Bye, guys.